Dana J here, and this is Remember Wrestling.
Recently, Dana Brooke had a heated no DQ match with Cora Jade on NXT TV, and afterwards shared a heartfelt message on Twitter, or whatever it's called now. She thanked her fans for their support, but also reflected on how her past had fueled her performance. I have had years of pent-up aggression, questioning myself, and showing untapped potential I always knew I had. Reading this statement made me think back on Dana Brooke's WWE career, because in a way it's almost been tragic. She could have been a major component in the women's division as we know it, but it just never panned out that way. At the beginning of 2016, Dana Brooke was in NXT, like she is now, but back then she was merely a prospect. She had formed a team with Emma, who was having a career revival in her second NXT run. Now Dana was nothing to write home about in those days, but then again she wasn't supposed to be. After all, NXT is at its core a developmental program, and she was there to develop as a wrestler, but she seemed to be making decent progress. She put her natural athletic background to good use in the ring, having been both a gymnast and a bodybuilder before signing with WWE. Her character was developing nicely too. On the Breaking Ground documentary series, the woman herself described the character of Dana Brooke as a quote, dominatrix killer Barbie, which is a really good 3-word summation for a wrestling character. She had the look as well, being a blonde bombshell but also ripped beyond belief. In short, she had plenty of ingredients to be built into a star. But then, Emma was recalled to the main roster, and it was decided that her protege would follow her there. It could be argued that it was too soon for Brooke to be called up to the big leagues, as there was still room for her to progress as an all-round performer in the Performance Center. But at least she was sticking with Emma in an act that they did well and were comfortable performing. Unfortunately, Emma almost immediately went down with a long-term back injury, and in a scramble, WWE threw Brooke alongside the women's champion Charlotte Flair. Now this wasn't necessarily a bad choice in itself, as Brooke was effective in her role as Charlotte's heater for a few months. It was how the partnership was dissolved that was the real problem. It seemed as though the story was following along the same lines as a Batista versus Triple H, with the muscle behind the champion becoming increasingly frustrated at being mistreated before turning face to a big ovation and triumphing over their foe. However, the second half of that story did not happen, as their big blow-off match was a comprehensive victory for Flair. She dispatched of Dana on Raw in 3.5 minutes with a big boot, which isn't even her finisher, to win totally clean as she built towards a women's championship match at WrestleMania 33. Following that, Dana had nowhere to go, and she quickly became a staple of the C-level WWE main event show, as well as adopting weird random gimmicks, like becoming the statistician for Titus Worldwide. The statistician gimmick is one I always zero in on when it comes to Dana, because it exemplifies a trait of hers that could be seen as both a help and a hindrance. She was willing to fully commit to whatever it was that was thrown her way. On one hand, she deserves a huge amount of respect for that, because the attitude of doing the best job possible with what you are given has to be admired. On the flip side, it also left her vulnerable, as it meant whenever Vince McMahon had one of his wacky gimmick ideas that was unlikely to get very far, Dana was normally the one who was saddled with it. We saw this in the very bad SmackDown karaoke segment from 2020, where she sang the Honky Tonk Man's theme with amazing gusto. We saw this during her random tag team with Mandy Rose, which was littered with bad moments, culminating in Luke Owen from Wrestle Talk dubbing the team Mandy Rose and the Other One. But nowhere was it seen more clearly than when she became the 24/7 champion. When Dana pinned Cedric Alexander on Raw in November 2021 to win the belt, she treated it like she'd just won the world title in the main event of WrestleMania. She gave an emotional backstage interview on Raw and spilled her heart out further in a post on Instagram, saying, "Yesterday marked a memory I will never forget. I manifested this moment. Hate me or love me, you all motivated me to capitalize on this opportunity. The overwhelming support is unexplainable," before going on to thank her friends and family. It seemed an odd response to winning a title that at this point had become an unfunny joke, but it defined Dana's attitude. And that attitude was on full display over her 15 reigns that spanned 11 months that was chock full of silliness, which included an absolutely ludicrous double wedding segment on Raw involving Reginald, Tamina, and Akira Tozawa. And then, in 2023, Dana Brooke came back to NXT. She was the latest in a long line of main roster prospects to come to Orlando, including The New Day, AJ Styles, and most notably, her former tag team partner Mandy Rose, who had managed to rejuvenate her entire career alongside Toxic Attraction. This is a great opportunity for all involved. For Dana, it can put her back in a coaching environment that might take her to the next level, an opportunity she did not get enough of the first time around. For Shawn Michaels, who has proven himself as a steady creative hand at the head of NXT, he can give Dana's character the careful and structured build that she's been lacking for a very long time. And if Dana goes all in on this, like she has for everything else, there is every chance that the so-called other one can emerge as the star she always had the potential to be.